Tyranitar has been a competitive staple for a while now, but I'm gonna make it do something that it's never really done before. So look, the item, the Big Nugget, is pretty much just something you sell for a bunch of money in game. Unless you huck it at someone's face. If the Big Nugget is paired with the pretty much never used move FLING, which uses your held item as a weapon, it becomes a 130 power dark move, which I think is hilarious. Tyranitar's nice bulk and massive attack makes it a great candidate to first set up with Dragon Dance, and then we can fire off a stab FLING, and with the damn Cannonball Big Nugget, we get some damage that nobody expects. But he can also become a menace with coverage in Earthquake and Stone Edge, and while this FLING idea is mostly ridiculous, today my goal is to see if we can get some unexpected knockouts by yeeting a big golden ball at some people. So today, I obviously woke up and chose violence in the form of throwing gold at people's face. I'm all about finding odd ways to use mons, and if that sounds fun to you, you should consider hitting that subscribe button, or you'll take a gold nugget right to the nose. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the match. Alright, so as my opponent decides to lead off with the Meowscarada, I've got myself my buddy Tim. I got Rabombi here to set up some sticky web, and for the most part, we're safe. We got Focus Sash, don't really care what the Meowscarada wants to do. I'm just here to lay down some web and have a nice Timmy time. So, I set up my web, and I'm kind of expecting a U-turn here. It turns out, this Meowscarada goes for a Power Gem. I'm thinking initially, a special attacking variant. I'm like, I'd never see that coming, but I'm able to live, obviously. I mean, I have the Focus Sash anyway, but at this point, I'm thinking, hey, this is fine. If it's going to be a special Meowscarada, guess what my ass is going to do? I'm going to bring in Tyranitar. We get the benefit of setting up the Sandstorm, and then being Rock type, that just comes with a 50% special defensive boost, which is great. So I bring in Tyranitar, which is always weird, against the Meowscarada, but I'm like, you know what, if this is going to be a different kind, this is fine. I'm here to set up and fling some shit. So, they actually end up going for a layer of Toxic Spikes, which is unfortunate because I don't have a Rapid Spinner or a Grounded Poison, but at this point, that's fine. I'm here to go for a Dragon Dance, and it turns out they're going to click the U-turn, which is super effective, does do a nice little bit of chip, and now they can bring in whatever they want. The thing is, though, paired with the Sticky Web and a Dragon Dance, I will be faster than everything they've got. So they now decide to bring in Garchomp. Obviously, take some Sticky Web, and we're a couple of sandy fellas over here. I do go for the Dragon Dance, give them a free show, which is it's not a free. It's going to end up not being free. You're going to pay for it in your life because now at +1, here's the thing: there's pretty much one attack that can knock out a Garchomp at full health at just +1 attack. Luckily for me, it turns out to be FLING with a Big Nugget, so I'm thinking that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and huck the Big Nugget. I go for the stab FLING, throw the big old ball of gold. I do get a crit. It does knock out the Garchomp. I don't think the crit mattered, unless it was a fully defensive Garchomp. Regardless, seeing that thing go down to a one-hit KO is incredibly satisfying. So, the bad news is I've lost my Big Nugget. The good news is we're still a pretty scary Tyranitar here. So, as they now bring in the Scizor, I'm thinking for sure they click a Bullet Punch here, just to kind of pick me off there. If it's Choice Banded, it kills. I'm thinking that's fine. I'm going to get this bad boy to do as much as we can. I go for the Ghost Terror, which always pairs nicely with our obvious fighting weakness. And as I put the Ghost on my head, I do connect on a Stone Edge, which is great. It does not kill, unfortunately, but they click Brick Break, and now it goes right through me. So that could not have worked out better. I connect on the Stone Edge. We get the unexpected Brick Break to come through, and at this point now I can just go for an Earthquake, which obviously is a much less scary move to click than a Stone Edge, and that's going to be a dead Scizor. So young Reptar is running through him a little bit. I do, use up my Terror, which is unfortunate. The Sandstorm does go away, which is actually good. Losing my Rock type, I no longer have the benefit of that, but also it just hurts you. It's always fun to see a Tyranitar get hurt by its own sand, but it's gone, and now they decide to bring in the Mimikyu. So at this point, look, Mimikyu Shadow Sneak is probably coming through here. I'm also thinking it probably doesn't kill, so I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to stay in, go for an Earthquake here, at least break this thing's disguise, because Mimikyu is a little Pikachu bastard that can be a problem. So they end up now clicking the Swords Dance, and I get rid of the disguise, but now this thing is it's a little bit scary. It obviously threatens the shit out of me with that Shadow Sneak. I'm considering switching into the Ambipom or something like the Wigglytuff. I know the Shadow Sneak is coming, but honestly, it feels like it's probably in my best bet here to just leave the Tyranitar in and just let it go down. I'm thinking I probably just sack this thing off here to bring in a free switch later. But check it out. I do believe, try to make a prediction here. They're probably expecting something like the Ambipom or the Wiggly to come in on the very obvious Shadow Sneak, and they now bring in the Greninja. So Greninja comes in thinking, I'm going to grab myself a little little double switch here. Turns out you get your ass Earthquake by big ol' Mrs. T, and while it doesn't quite kill, we do have a Dragon Dance, and that thing touched the Sticky Web, so we can just outspeed it, and we are able to capitalize on a little bit of an over-prediction there. I was just like, you know what, Tyranitar, you can die now, that's fine. But we are definitely still out here rolling, and Tyranitar grabbing unexpected kills, and, you know, it would be really nice to be able to still have my big nugget. It's like, once you throw it once, you're kind of screwed, but it is what it is. So now, they can bring in Mimikyu again. Now they're like, okay, clearly I can just click that Shadow Sneak, and I have no intentions switching out here, so I'm like, that'll probably do it for our Tyranitar here. They go for the priority Shadow Sneak, it's stab, but guess what? We live it with 11 HP. Even with Life Orb, that does less than 50% to Tyranitar. That is extremely clutch because now I can get off another Earthquake and that kills the Mimikyu. So now, they were really trying to grab a bit of game momentum there, being down quite a bit with that double switch, and it turns out it really just held them because now Mimikyu is dead. And Tyranitar is on an absolute tear. I kind of didn't expect to live that Shadow Sneak. I actually did calc it. We do live at that health, even being Ghost type, which is lit as hell. So now as Meowscarada comes in, I'm clicking the Stone Edge, baby. I'm like, screw it. We're going to connect on this and get the whole body back. It does, unfortunately, have a Focus Sash, though, and now it's going to live. So I did connect on the Stone Edge, which is great. I feel like I've used up all my luck for the next 6 weeks, but they can now finish me off with a Flower Trick. Does still have the Flower Trick. I mean, it's like a mixed Meowscarada, which is crazy. Got the Flower Trick for the guaranteed crit. That is going to kill Tyranitar. So, you know, we do eventually die, which sucks. But it's fine. We've done enough to the squad to where I should be able, you know, to pull this one back. With that Sticky Web up, Rabombi is definitely faster. And while I do come in and get poisoned, I kind of forgot about that Toxic Spikes, honestly. It didn't really play a factor because we don't give a damn about switching. So I can click the Moonblast. And at 1 HP, I'm not sure, but I think it's enough to kill it. That does kill Meowscarada. And Rabombi, I'm thinking might be able to clean it up, but then their final mon is actually the Chandelure. So that thing is a little bit scary. What makes it a lot less scary is the fact that it has to touch some Sticky Web, which is always great. But he comes in, he's thinking, what a beautiful day to get caught up in a damn web. You get that minus speed, should allow anything else in the back to outspeed. And while I don't have much to really do to it, I figure I'm going to get some last value out of the Rabombi with a little Stun Spore action. I do connect to get the para on the thing. So now it's not only parried, but also under Sticky Web, and Buddy's pissed. Does actually also get fully paralyzed, so sometimes you got to do it to him. I don't make the rules. So also, since there was only one layer of Toxic Spikes, I do live my next Toxic, which is great, because I'm just like, I'll fire off a Psychic Noise, let Rabombi go down, and then I can finish it with whatever else. They decide to head out, and Buddy has effectively been Fling Big Nuggeted, and that's kind of hilarious. So obviously, a lot of things went our way in that one, which, you know, we'll take it. But that's now going to bring us into game number 2. And this is also when I ask, hey, if you've stuck around this far into the video, go ahead and hit that like button for me. I really would appreciate it. YouTube likes it. I like it. And also, I'm going to like throwing some more Big Nuggets, so let's get into it. Big Nugget Fling really is ridiculous for a number of reasons. It's not reliable. I mean, you get one kind of nuke of a damage attack, but other than that, that's kind of all you get. But I just want to see if we can make it happen again. And now, we have an interesting matchup here. Now, I noticed my opponent has Rabombi of their own, and I'm thinking I don't really want to just mirror match Rabombi and both set up our Sticky Web, so knowing that that's what they're going to do, I decided to lead Ambipom here, which allows me to now be able to set up a Nasty Plot. This is, of course, Special Attacking Technician Ambipom here, who now takes a Moonblast because this thing is faster, and as I fire off a Swift, it is going to be Focus Sashed. I basically am like, if this thing is not Sashed, that'd be great. I mean, they mostly are, so kind of doesn't work out great for me. This, you know, this Ambipom, it's tough to get to pull off, and I'm like, you know, maybe I can get it to do something later. It is pretty fast, so I'm like, I'm going to conserve the guy. I do get their Sticky Web set up on my side, but now I'm realizing Skeledirge is kind of just an easy swap in here. I should have just let off with the Dirge, but I was like, if they don't go Rabombi, it's still kind of an easy setup opportunity. But Ambipom is, I'm just trying to click Nasty Plot on the guy. So as I bring in Skeledirge, I'm thinking probably they switch, so I decided to click the Will-O-Wisp, and it covers for if they don't switch, because of course they're just at 1 HP, so as they Stun Spore and miss, I connect on a Will-O-Wisp, was kind of hoping they'd bring in a physical attacker. They do not, and at least the Stun Spore missed, so I get that Wisp, it burns them, and then that takes their last HP. So down goes the Rabombi. Bad news is I don't have anything to get rid of the Sticky Web on my side, so I'm just going to have to kind of deal with it, which is unfortunate. So the one thing I did actually want to catch with the Will-O-Wisp comes in. In comes me and Shao, and I'm thinking, this is fine. They can go for an attack here. I can live anything, and then I can get that Wisp off, which is great. So they do knock off my heavy-duty boots. That's unfortunate, but I connect on a Wisp, and I'm also continuing to get lucky-ish. I land 2 Will-O-Wisp in a row. my ass is buying a lotto ticket after this. So I get the burn on the Mienshao, which is great. That's just a fast mon. That hurts. The thing just does damage. So I get the burn there. Skeledirge sadly is a little bit kind of used up here. I do click the Hex, but one more knockoff, even burnt and without my item, does kill the Skeledirge. Now, the burn is kind of the main value I needed out of the thing anyway, so while that is pretty good, I also now get myself a revenge switch in. So, while I do have a lot of options, one of the main things I need to kind of account for here is that I'm playing under Sticky Web. So one way I want to make that kind of a level playing field is to go in my own Rabombi here and set up my own Sticky Web. Now, they don't have any Rapid Spin on their side, so it's going to kind of level the playing field here in terms of everything taking that -1 speed on switch in. So I got Rabombi. It's one thing that also kind of tells me what item this thing's working with. If it was Choice Scarf, it probably switches out. They end up going for a Poison Jab, and I do live. Of course, I am Focus Sash, so it's not going to be a Scarf Mienshao, which is great. Floppy ass hands over there, not going to be as fast as we'd like it to be, or they want to be, so that's pretty nice. I get up my Sticky Web, and now there's webs all over the damn place. This battlefield, about sticky as hell. So looking at this now, Rabombi is it's one of my faster mons. I do want to conserve the thing because I can actually save it for a pretty decent hitting Moonblast later, so I realize Ambipom is probably not going to be able to do too much. I am going to swap into the Palm here basically as a Death Fodder switch in, because then I can get something going with hopefully Tyranitar, which is weird here. I mean, out of all the things I have, Tyranitar's 4 times weak ass to fighting is probably the last thing you'd want to swap into here, but we've seen before, I have the Ghost Terra, so I'm thinking, you know what, see, now seems like a pretty good time. If I can get that Dragon Dance, I will have the speed matchup on pretty much everything. So I bring in Tyranitar, and I am just obviously in danger of being high jump kicked into next Thursday. So I come in, take that speed drop, which is fine, but then I'm like, this place is not nearly sandy enough. Put a little pocket sand out, and now it's time to go dancing. I do, of course, have to click the Ghost Terra here. I feel like they probably see that coming, so if they click knockoff, I'm letting them have it. I'm like, you know, if you read this Ghost Terra, you can have the kill there, but regardless, I'm going to bust the Ghost out because it's very enticing to click any fighting move here. And since we know the thing is not Scarfed, it has that option, so I go for that. And I really need this Dragon Dance. They outspeed, they do instead go for the U-turn. It's going to be a little middle ground play there where it's going to allow a swap. They can now bring in something else. They obviously don't take much damage now, at least not being weak to that. But this now allows a swap into a Swampert. And this is a thick fella that's the kind of guy that can deal with Tyranitar. So it comes in, gets caught up in some Sticky Web, of course, because that's what we're doing today. And I am grabbing a little Dragon Dance. Dragon Dance Tyranitar is also not even as common as you'd imagine. I always kind of forget that this thing even has that option. But we get ourselves to +1 attack and speed. We should be faster than most, and with +1 attack, guess what? Big Nugget Fling is obviously our best damage here. I'm going to fling the Nug right at him. They're probably confused as hell, but one thing is for sure, that deletes the Swampert. It's always extremely satisfying getting the Fling off on positions where I really needed that to kill. I mean, there was nothing else I can click there that kills a Swampert. No other Tyranitar's doing that, so that is incredibly satisfying. We already get Tyranitar to do what we needed it to, and that feels pretty good. Anything else feels like just a bonus. I'm just here to click Fling and stuff. But now, as they bring in a Rubber Ducky, this thing is a little bit of a problem. I know that it probably can't do much to me in terms of damage, but I now have to hit some Stone Edges just to do as much as I can. And guess what? I do connect and get a critical hit on my first Stone Edge, which just feels rude. But they have the Shadow Ball coverage. And luckily for us, that doesn't do much. It looks like I can actually still take one more even after this Sandstorm chip, or at least it's going to be close. And I'm also feeling like, you know what? One more Stone Edge probably kills in this range. And if I can knock out a Porygon 2 in 2 hits, I'm taking that shit. I go for it. I connect on another Stone Edge. Once again, I need to go buy a lottery ticket because the Stone Edges be hitting today. And also, the Rubber Ducky is dead. So that is incredibly satisfying. We are now still kind of playing with house money here because Tyranitar, after a Dragon Dance, should be faster. Mienshao comes in. We know that it's not Choice Scarf from earlier. And under Sticky Web, I'm thinking I'm faster. They know they have the knockoff to knock me out, but they're going to have to live in Earthquake, which is not going to happen. But it outspeeds. They outspeed me, and it knocked me out with a knockoff. And I was confused at first, but after some damage calc, Mienshao, if it's a Jolly Nature versus an Adamant Tyranitar, since I did a Dragon Dance, I was at neutral speed. Mienshao at -1 has a speed of 114, and my Tyranitar was at a speed of 113. That thing literally outsped me by 1 point, which just feels rude. If I was Jolly, it would have had a better time there, but I need all the damage I can get, so I'm adamant anyway. But now, I can bring in Wigglytuff. You know, Wigglytuff's not able to do a whole lot. What he can do, though, is surely live a burnt poison jab. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna bring in Big Tiggly, because whenever there's Sticky Web on my side, I immediately get a +2 boost to special attack, which always feels pretty good. So Tiggly is now here to just kill with an alluring voice. They go for that poison jab. Does do about half. Kind of was expecting, hoping for a little bit less damage there. But it is what it is. I should have probably gone into the Rabombi there to just outspeed and kill, but at least we get the kill with the Tiggly, and that feels pretty nice. So me and Xiao gone, that's going to be their fastest option they have left. I also now get a Throat Spray to boost my special attack even further. Now we're sitting at +3, and listen, this is a very scary Wigglytuff. The bad thing is, I'm about slow as shit. My speed stat is probably about 2 right now. So as they now bring in Cinccino, or Chinchino, whatever the hell this thing is, the little hamster guy goes for a Bullet Seed, and with Skill Link, it's going to be able to hit 5 times, and sadly, Tiggly's not big. Listen, Big Tiggly's pretty big, but not big enough to live that. So the Bullet Seed is almost, honestly, not enough to knock me out. Wigglytuff ain't going down without a fight. We get shot 5 times. They need that 5th hit to finish me off, and that it does, which is unfortunate. So they get to 5, obviously with Skill Link, but now I've got 2 Mons left, both of which are some little Bumblebee fellas, and honestly, this is not a great position to be in. While I have 2 Mons left, they are also down to 2. They've got this Chino, and they also have a Trevenant in the back. So here's the thing: I bring in Rabombi I bring in not Rabombi. I've got 2. The 2 Bumblebees is confusing. I bring in, I guess this thing's a Firefly. I bring in freaking Prankster Volbeat because I can go for an Encore, and that is actually going to be pretty damn clutch, because since they last used Bullet Seed, that's going to lock him into Bullet Seed. I was surely about to get Rock Blasted into the freaking Shadow Realm, but with the Bullet Seed, Volbeat's not known for being very bulky, and that's obvious, but I should be able to take 2 of these, and that's at least what I was hoping for, because check it out. After 5 hits, I take that pretty damn nicely, which is actually amazing, and now they're locked into that, so I'm thinking I'm kind of free to predict a switch here and go for a Tail Glow. So they do swap out. They realize the Bullet Seed's not going to get them super far, and I need some Tail Glows to be able to do any damage, which is fun. So in comes Trevenant, and this thing, I don't know exactly what it wants to do, but I do know that I should be able to outspeed, and immediately I grab myself a free Tail Glow, which is great. Honestly, if you want to see more of this Volbeat and you missed the Volbeat video, go back and check that out, because it's actually very fun. So now at +3, I'm thinking I can get a pretty damn big Bug Buzz off here, and maybe I can actually even live an attack in return from this Trevenant. So it's a neutral Bug Buzz, but they bust out a Terra, and I'm like, damn it. The late game Terra always hoes me. They go for the Ghost Terra. That's going to get rid of its grass typing, which now makes it a resisted Bug Buzz, which is wildly unfortunate, but I'm like, that's fine. At least I can get some pretty big chip here. It doesn't do a great amount of damage, but now as they go for a substitute, I know exactly what this thing's thinking. It's going to be a Harvest set. They have a Citrus Berry, gets it down right to Citrus range, gets it pretty damn healthy, and now they're behind a substitute, which is a little bit scary. But they forgot about one thing. I am a prankster little guy, and I can just actually Encore them into continuing to click substitutes. I go for that Encore, and the little plush is like, hey, what the hell? Am I being clapped for? Yes, you must now continue to click substitute, which is kind of a checkmate situation, because now they're just stuck in that. I can go for another free Tail Glow or go for some Bug Buzzes for damage. I decide to click the Glow, and they realize that they should not have substituted in front of me. They're going to force the run, and that's going to be the end of that one. Thought that was just another kind of just ridiculous game, some fun stuff, and hell yeah. Now, if you thought we were done, we are not. This is going to bring us into a third match, because this Tyranitar is fun, and this is actually still another really good game, so I figure, you know, why not? Let's get into it. So this whole team I'm using in general just has so many shenanigans that I'm trying to get to work, obviously. That's kind of how we function around here, so we're going to see what we can get to do anything. So my opponent leads off with the Golden Go, and as I have the Rabombi, I'm of course here for the Sticky Web, and the Golden Go lead isn't horrible for me. I know that I can live an attack with my Focus Sash, and they also are going to have to go for a Make It Rain if they want to at least do as much as they can. They do click the Make It Rain. There's coins all over the damn place, and I live with that Sash, so it is going to drop that thing's special attack. So honestly, this immediately puts me in a spot where I'm thinking about how I can capitalize on being able to set up in front of this thing, or at least get the most out of it. Knowing that this thing's special attack is dropped pretty harshly, I decide to go into the Skeledirge. I realize they probably want to switch here, and if I'm them, I go into something that wants to set up as well. And either or, they just stay in and click and Make It Rain, or they swap here. They do end up swapping. We got a little double switch situation, and in comes the Gyarados. So here's the thing, I was kind of expecting this switch in, and while this isn't a super favorable matchup for Skeledirge, I know this thing wants to dance in front of me, and I know I can take an attack from it easily, so this is kind of a free spot for me to go for a Will-O-Wisp. Now they do dance right in front of me, which is actually great because I'm unaware anyway, so the setup doesn't work for the Skeledirge. But I do also connect on a Will-O-Wisp and just immediately cripple kind of one of their scarier, at least fast setup mods. So the Gyarados can get a bit out of hand, but burnt, he's also, this guy's looking extra burnt. He left that shrimp on the Barbie a little too long, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and click the roar. This Gyarados is entirely not scary being burnt. And Skeledirge is the mon that it really is like an anti-setup kind of insurance policy. With Unaware, we don't care about stat boost, and I can roar him out anyway. I probably should have just gone for the damage with the Hex there since I had the burn on it. But the roar is always fun to just switch some shit up. Now that brings back in the Golden Go, and this is actually quite an interesting matchup. Golden Go is a problem for my team, honestly a pretty bad problem, and I realized, of course, I'm going to get bopped by a Shadow Ball, but if I can Torch Song it, I could get it down to an easily chippable range. And that's exactly what happens. They go for the Shadow Ball. I do live it, and while, you know, taking the Shadow Ball here is nice because I fire off a Torch Song, it does suck that, you know, I use a lot of my Skeledirge for that. I felt like it was a pretty good trade-off because I, you know, already got that burn on the Gyarados anyway. So at this point, I'm thinking I'm just going to stay in here. If they want to over-predict, that would be sick. But they just go for the Shadow Ball, and down goes the Skeledirge. So I at least get the burn on the Gyara. I knock the Golden Go down to a point where I should be able to easily take care of it. And so looking at my squad, or at least what I've got left here, there's two options. Either I go Tyranitar, Terra, and try to set up in this thing's face, or I can go into Big Wiggly. And I'm thinking, you know, it's probably a little too early for Tyranitar here, so I decided to go into Wigglytuff. Obviously threatened by the Make It Rain, I can go for my Steel Terra, and I'm switching it up a little bit. Generally, I know I could click a Flamethrower here and get the KO, but I'm also feeling like a Stealth Rock might actually not be a bad idea to just kind of punish their switching and be able to make a little easier time for my setup mons in the back. So I go for that Steel Terra. I'm thinking this does probably like 30-ish%. It does over half, and Wigglytuff just, ouch, that shit hurt it. Luckily, they get this special attack drop, which is great, which, you know, now while I do set up my Stealth Rock, which always feels good, I should still be able to live one more and then fire off a Flamethrower. It's kind of not the best idea to kind of waste my Terra at this point for this, but look, Wigglytuff just demands the spotlight anyway, so I figure that's fine. Now, they click Shadow Ball here because it's just their best neutral hit. I do live, thank God Tiggly can live that one. And that allows us to now Flamethrower, which is always satisfying, knocking out the Steel types with the Tiggly. So down goes the Golden Go. String Cheese Man is not going to be hurting us any longer. And hell yeah. So this brings back in the Gyarados. So first of all, here's the fun part. It takes some Stealth Rock Chip, which is always great. It intimidates me, which is fun because that activates my competitive. Look, Big Tiggly, she's a competitive chick. And now we're at +1 special attack, which is great. And if they want to Dragon Dance in my face, I can get a huge Hyper Voice here. But they realize with that special attack, they're not going to be able to set up in front of me. Or at least if they do, they're going to kind of pay for it. So they instead go for the Earthquake. That does kill the Wigglytuff. And, you know, down we go. So with the amount of damage that we have on the Gyarados here, I figure I have a spot here to get a little something going. The main thing that this team is here to do is to focus on the Volbeat. This is a little fella that needs truly all the help it can get to be able to set up. And in the face of this thing, I'm thinking I can click Tail Glow here. With it burnt, I know I can take an attack. And it should allow a spot for Volbeat to get some shit going. I'm thinking if they want a Dragon Dance, they're going to be stuck in Prankster Encore Hell. Instead, however, they go for a Waterfall. And just with the burn, I'm able to take it. I'm just bouncing around. I love Volbeat. Just bouncing around, having a nice little time over here, enjoying the sunlight. I am at +3 special attack from my Tail Glow. I'm thinking a Bug Buzz maybe kills from this range. I try it, it does not. Unfortunately, even with a crit, it doesn't kill. I judge the damage on this thing horribly. Now, I live the next attack easily, which is why it doesn't really matter. The burn takes care of it. Down goes the Gyarados, which is sweet. That's the one mon that's not affected by the Sticky Web, which is great. And what's also great is that barring an unaware Clefable, we're in a pretty decent spot with the Volbeat here. So here's the thing, they bring in the Superior, and while upon touching the Sticky Web, it activates Contrary, so instead gives it the speed boost, which would suck, but I got a Mirror Herb to copy that anyway. So now we're both at +1 speed, and I'm thinking, you know, I should be able to live a freaking Leaf Storm if that's what it wants to click. Bad thing is, if it's gonna go for like a boosted Terra Blast, that's what's gonna suck. So it is gonna be faster. Now they also are gonna go for the Terra, and I'm like, damn it, I knew it. This is surely gonna happen. It is gonna be Stellar Terra. which is not something you see often. It's kind of is going to be able to get that Terra boost on each attack at least once. And with that boost, now they can go for a Dragon Pulse, which is going to enjoy the little increase in damage. And I live it with 1 HP. Somehow Volbeat lives that. I have truly no idea. Allows me to then fire off a Bug Buzz, and that's a dead Superior, which is kind of wild. This Volbeat actually popping off a little bit, and that's... The 1 HP live is always incredibly satisfying. Now here's the bad part is Clefable comes in, and I was mainly worried about this Clefable in stopping this Volbeat from pulling out the body bag and this becoming the full Volbeat highlight. And this late game is going to get a little bit crazy here. So Clefable is obviously a problem. One thing is it can't set up in the face of me because I can encore it. They don't really know that, but it would be great if they clicked something here. Clefables always want to set up. So I just go for the Bug Buzz to see how much damage it does. It literally heals the guy, and that is definitely unaware. Allows him to just plant a nice little smooch on me, and that's going to kill the Volbeat. So, you know, we do go down a little bit earlier there with the Volbeat. If you do want to see this thing pop off, I do recommend watching the Volbeat video. So, here's the thing though. It is now a 3v3 game, and it can be anybody's match here. And I'm feeling like Tyranitar is going to be my win condition, but I can't go into it just yet. Here's the thing. I can go Rabombi here, and I really just need some chip on this Clefable to be able to pick it off with any of Tyranitar's stab, or mostly just clicking Stone Edge. So, I go for the Moonblast just to get as much damage as possible, and they do finish me with a Draining Kiss, which is great because I was already at 1 HP, so they don't heal, they don't heal much back. And now, with that amount of damage, I'm feeling like I should be close to grabbing a kill if Tyranitar can click the Stone Edge here. So I have two options. It's either Special Attack Setup Ambipom or the Tyranitar. I know that I can't set up in this thing's face just because of the fact that it's unaware. So I bring in Tyranitar, and since, you know, I do get the nice little boost from the Sandstream, I should be able to take a couple attacks here. Now, I go for the Stone Edge thinking it's my best damage, thinking it probably kills. It does not. It barely lives, but he plants a nice little smooch on me, and that doesn't do anything to our freaking Godzilla over here. That special defense boost is pretty slept on, and while it's a super effective hit, doesn't do much. Luckily, we connected on the Stone Edge again, and that now allows me to fire off the Earthquake. So down goes the Clefable, but here's the thing. With the two mons they have left, the one that we are extremely worried about is going to be the Gallade. They also have the Garchomp in the back, but as Gallade comes in, it's an interesting matchup here. This thing is going to catch the Sticky Web, but if it's Choice Scarf, it's still going to be able to outspeed and honestly clean up the rest of the game here. But if it's not Choice Scarf, my best damage here is going to click Fling, and that's the only thing that can kill here. So I click the Fling, and now it's time to see if it's going to be wearing the Choice Scarf. If it is, we're screwed. I outspeed, it is not going to be Choice Scarf, and check this out, the Fling Big Nugget is the only option I have to click there. That knocks out the Gallade, and that is extremely satisfying. No Choice Scarf on the Gallade allows the Tyranitar to bust through without even having any Dragon Dance in this matchup, I will note, which is sick as hell. So Fling comes in very clutch there, and now their final mon is going to be the Garchomp, which we do know should be able to do a bunch with an Earthquake here, but I first can get as much chip as I can, you know, to allow the Ambipom to hopefully finish the game off for us, and it's coming right down to the wire here. So I go for the Earthquake just because I can't Fling anymore, and Earthquake is my best damage. Don't have to worry about any misses. I do end up getting a crit. I'm extremely lucky these days for some reason. But now they go for a Bulldoze, not going to be running the Earthquake, and the Bulldoze is not going to quite kill me. They do get the speed drop, which is unfortunate because now they can just outspeed me and go for another Bulldoze, which does kill. So down goes Tyranitar. But now we've brought ourselves to a 1v1 situation where I have a special attacking Ambipom versus their Garchomp that did take considerable chip. So Sandstorm goes away, which is great if this thing is weirdly evasion or whatever, but I bring in Young Jazz Hands, and while ordinarily this thing would go for the physical attacks here, I am forced to click Swift as my best damage, throw some stars at him, and that is going to kill the Garchomp, which is very, very satisfying. So that's going to be the end of that one. I do feel like I got some luck on my side, of course, but regardless, still a really good game. It came right down to it, and a little bit of a different use case there for the Tyranitar, and that was pretty clutch. So thank you guys very much for watching. I love you all, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.